We good. We good. All right. Welcome to the 11th hour, y'all. We're going to have some good times today. It's been a minute. A lot of things going on in the life of the Michael Davis. So I'm excited to be back in the 11th hour room and just doing this thing for the Lord and just kind of keeping my eyes and ears down to the pavement and listening to what God's got going on. Hey, it's been an exciting time. So listen, it can't rain enough. You know what I'm saying? It cannot rain enough. We might as well just shut schools down sometime. I mean, what's the purpose of 2 hours? I mean, is the water really going to recede in 2 hours? I don't know. That's just me. That's just my personal opinion. But don't nobody hate on me for that. I'm just saying. But can it rain enough to shut it down for the whole day? So I noticed a lot of counties around here were closed today. So, but I'm just joking. I'm just joking. It can rain a lot. Hey, I'm excited about being in the 11th hour today. So today, man, we're going to talk about something real quick. We're not going to really get into a whole lot. I just want to talk about your passion. Like, really, what's your passion? Like, what are you really after? What is it that you really, really want to do? As kids, man, we all grow up with these ideas and thoughts of what we're going to do and how we're going to live life and what our careers are going to be. And all of us always dream these big dreams about what we want and what we want to do. But then we really don't go after those things because, sometimes life happens and reality kind of sets in. You end up, only growing to be 5'2" instead of 6'5", where you want to go play basketball. You're not as big as you thought you was gonna be to go play a little football. You're not as fast as you thought you was gonna be to run track. You don't swim as well as you thought. Everybody want to be Aquaman when they little. So you don't swim as well. There's some things that kind of happens along the way to kind of detour you from your dreams and your goals. But what are you really passionate about? What is it that you really, really want to do? I mean, what is it that's going on in your life that you're willing to stick to it no matter what? So today, man, I just want to talk about passion. I just want to talk about passion, about how do you get passionate about something and then how do you stick with it? So, I know a lot of times, man, we can get thrown off course and we can get, what we say, lose focus and also kind of lose that drive a little bit. But, passion is something that is really, really what keeps you driving and really what keeps you going. So for me, I'm gonna say I have like three passions. I have three really big passions that I really try my best to do. My first passion is man, I just want to be a good husband. Like really, I do. I mean, like, no, don't laugh at a brother. Don't laugh, don't trip, whatever. I know I've made my mistakes in the past. I know I've made some mistakes, probably last week, and I probably made some. I'm gonna make some mistakes in the future. I know I haven't been the perfect husband. I know I haven't been the best, but I've been the best husband that I could be. So I'm really passionate about being that. I really want to try to, do my wife right. You know what I'm saying? I really want to, be a husband that she can be proud of. So I'm really passionate about that. And I'm also second thing I'm really passionate about is being a father. Like, man, I'm really, really passionate about trying to be the best father that I can be. And a lot of those things does come because of my past and kind of how my past was that really is driving me to be one, a good husband, and two, a great father. Like, I really enjoy being a father. Now, I know there's some great fathers out there. I know there are, because I can't be the only one, but I know there are some really, really great fathers out there. And man, I just love being a father. I know I love what it teaches me. I know I love the way that I'm always pushed to be better. I know I'm always loving the way that I'm striving to be better because my kids make me better, So I'm passionate about that, being a husband and being a father. And then the last thing I'm really, really passionate about is really helping young people get on the right track. I mean, dude, I'm just so let me just say it like this, man. I'm in love with doing that. I am in love and I'm passionate about helping young people get on the right track. And here's the reason why is because my whole thing is that I really want to stop this whole at-risk youth language. I really want to stop that because I just don't like that. That's just me. I just don't like it. I really want to go with this in their 11th hour, their decision making. And so if I can help them make better decisions, I know that their lives can turn out different. And so sometimes they feel disappointed the way their life is turning out right now. But dude, could it be because of some of the decisions you make? And most of the time it is. Sometimes we're not where we want to be. Sometimes, life does throw us, a wrench, and we're dealing with some particular things in our life. We'll just throw this out there: poverty. We may deal with some parents who are not the best parents. We may deal with some handicaps, whatever those handicaps are. But here's one thing that I'm for sure is that if you still make the right decisions, man, your life can still turn out really, really well. So, I'm just passionate about helping young people because, when I was growing up, that was one of the things that I was really, really, really happy about is that, my grandfather, man, I love that dude. I really love him, man. I had him in my life for almost, at least for 25, I think 25, 30 years, maybe. I'm trying to think. I know it's been a while since he passed away, but I loved him in my life because, he was always there for me whenever I needed him. He was always there for me. He always took time out for me. He was a disciplinarian. Now he would do that, but he also loved to just sit and have conversations with me and just hear my thoughts and hear what was going on in my life and just kind of help lead and guide me. So I really appreciate that. So, and that's kind of what I want to do in return. I mean, I just want to be able to be there for those young men and women who may not have that father figure in their life and just say, hey, look, let's just have some conversations. Let's just talk. We don't need to fuss. We don't need to fight. I don't need to say you're wrong. You don't need to say I'm right or vice versa. Let's just have some conversations to where, when we end this conversation, I've given you some different perspectives. And hey, listen, you've given me some new perspective. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that you're going on the right path and the right track. So I'm passionate about that. And yes, it does take a man to be able to do that. And it takes some women too. But these men, man, they're really hungry to have some male figures in their life. And if God can put me in the position to do that, man, I'm in it 100. Like, man, I just want to do it. So and it's really funny because it's really funny the way I am right now because, man, I mean, I've said this before and I'm not going to really go into a lot of detail about it, but I've said this before that the brother really didn't even want kids. Like, I didn't even want them. Like, when me and my wife first got married, I was like, I don't want them. And that's just because I was just stupid. Like, I'm gonna just be honest, I was just stupid. Like, I really didn't know. I just didn't want them. And so I'm not gonna go into a lot about that, but I just didn't want kids. But you know what? After a while, being married for a while, and then my wife was like, let's try this thing, So we went through this whole thing, how of trying to have kids. It didn't happen. And so then she was like, well, check this out. Why don't we adopt? I was like, adopt? Like, no, brother ain't adopted nothing. You know what I'm saying? I ain't doing that. And so she was like, no, let's really look into it. And so when we went to a seminar and about adoption. And now listen, y'all, this was many moons ago, about 20 years ago. And we went to a seminar. We went to the first seminar, and I still remember when we went because I went in loaded. Like, I went loaded with a bunch of questions because I was like, if we're gonna do this thing, a brother gonna have to know a whole lot of stuff. Like, so I went in there with a laundry list of questions. And the attorney that was there that was hosting the seminar, she was there, and man, she did a phenomenal job with the seminar. And then she was like, question and answer time. So, she allowed people to ask some questions. So I asked my 15 questions that I that I had because I had a bunch of questions. Like, my first question was, hey, do we get our money back? Like, that's the first thing I asked, and she explained how the law had changed and, things were different. It wasn't the way it used to be. And then she went on about the attorney, the legal part, and oh man, it was just crazy. And so when we left that seminar, I told my wife, you know what, we might need to do this. And she was like, for real? I was like, yeah, I think we might need to do that. And boom, man, now I'm passionate about adoption. Like, I went in, I was reading, I was studying stuff, I was looking stuff up. We was calling different agencies. We was talking to different agencies about which ones were the best. I think we talked to maybe about 10 or 15. Oh, it probably wasn't that many. I might be going a little bit far. Maybe about 5 or 6 different agencies we talked to, and then we finally settled on the agency that we've been super blessed with, and they helped us adopt our 3 kids, and I'm telling you, it's been beautiful. But through that process of our passion of wanting to adopt kids, man, we started finding out some serious crazy stuff in the midst of that. Like, African Americans, Black folks, brown folks, whatever you want to call us, hey, we need to step up. And so, like, we found out a lot of us don't adopt. Like African Americans, brothers, blacks, brown, we don't adopt. And so we got passionate about that. So when we started adopting, we really started spreading the word to other families who were either struggling with having kids or thought at one time they didn't want to have kids. And we were like, man, really, we got a lot of our own that are out there that are not being adopted, that are in the system, or they don't even have us as options. So we really need to come out there and get out there. So man, we got on the horn and we were just telling people about that. And I think, and I could be wrong because my wife keeps up with this stuff better than I do. Well, I know this much. I know at least 5 people we knew that ended up adopted. And so, and I still think it's kind of that way today. So, adoption is really, man, I'm telling you, just finding out those types of things and listening to the parent or the birth moms who have to give these children up, man, it just really blew my mind because we all think sometimes that it's moms that were either violated by a man and she got pregnant, or is a mom who's strung out on drugs, or a mom who's struck. Sometimes, man, it's not that way. It's just moms who are making this hard decision to give up their baby because they may think that the adoptive family can give them a little bit more than what they could. And that's love. Like, that is the ultimate sacrifice, that you're saying, hey, I want you to raise my child, that my child becomes your child because I think you could offer them something better. Man, what a sacrifice that is. And so we begin to learn that and begin to learn and understand that that is a sacrifice that's hurtful. And really, it's a passion for the mom to say, I want to do this for this unborn child. I want to do this, set him or her up so that they can be successful, because I know with me that's probably not going to be a possibility. So it was crazy. So I'm just going to always push that's something that we should do. But listen, okay, going back to the passion thing, growing up, when we did that, we made statements that we wanted to do this or we wanted to do that. But here's something that I found out. I want to read y'all a little something right here. It says, a recent study conducted by the trade schools, colleges, and universities, and online career training research attaches some numbers to this phenomenon of why are we not doing it. They say the study surveyed about 2,000 adults about how their current roles in the workplace compare when stacked up against childhood goals. Listen, perhaps unsurprisingly, the study found that close to 80%, y'all, 78.06% to be exact, of adults that don't end up following through on their career path of their 6-year-old imaginations. Man, isn't that crazy? Like 80% of us don't even do what we said we was gonna do when we was 6 years old. And I know we're only 6, so we're dreaming, I want to ride an elephant for the rest of my life, or I want to, ride lions, and I want to talk to whales, or I want to walk around the moon. I know sometimes our dreams at 6 years old is kind of crazy, but just imagine. I mean, some of us say we want to be firemen, we want to be doctors, we want to be lawyers, even we want to work with fish, or we want to be a star, we want to play professional sports, we want to do this and that. Some of them are not really extreme, but just think, 80% of us, 80% of at least these 2,000 that they talk to, are not even doing the things that they talked about. Yes, life does happen. Life happens to all of us, but we still have to maintain that passion. What is a passion? A passion is an intense, driven, or overmastering feeling or conviction. Like, what are you just, I mean, like, I'm passionate about this thing. Like, this is what I want to do. And I just want to encourage everybody, that, when you have a passion, you need to go for it. And that's why I love what I do, because young people have passions for different things, like, but they got to also understand that there's a process in getting there. So anything you want, you have to go after with all that you have, letting not a person or a thing keep you from trying to get there. So, we could take examples of our own life. Like, I tell, a lot of y'all know that I am the chaplain down at the JDC here in Rutherford County. And I tell the young people all the time, I'll never talk about your family, but I'm going to talk about mine, because I can talk about my family. And I'm gonna talk about myself. Like, if you grew up without a father, you grew up in a household, where your mom or your dad may have divorced several times, and or you grew up when your dad wasn't present in your life, and you didn't have that great role model, or even there's some, unfortunately, there's some moms out there that don't stick around either. The moms leave, and mom's going through divorce, dad's going through divorce. There's not a lot. I mean, hey, that has a lot to do with how you deal with your life. So you really didn't have those examples, but you can't let that stop you from being a good wife, or being a good mother, and being a good husband, and being a good father, because you got to use those things as passions to get you to get there. You may not have had all of these things, but you still could be successful. But it comes with the passion. You have to have an overwhelming conviction to say, I'm going to do what I want to do. And that goes for anything. I mean, if you want to be, I think every kid want to be a veterinarian. I know my son wanted to be a veterinarian. I'm like, that's what he said he wanted to be. But I think it's just because kids love animals. I think they Dr. Doolittle, they can talk to everybody. But if that's what you want to do, let that be what you want to do. And at 6 years old, I think we're still in the process of learning who we are. So, we're still dealing with that, but we still have dreams that we want. Now, as parents, we're always trying to instill passion or help our kids live out the passions that they have inside for what they want in life. That's the role of a parent, is that we're always helping our children to do that. But we're also helping them by letting them understand, in order for this passion that you have to reach the goal that you want, there comes that whole magical word that we all don't like to talk about, that word work. I mean, because I don't know too many doctors that just, the TV commercial just say, hey, I'm a doctor because I slept good last night. No, it don't work that way. Or, I'm an athlete because I watched a lot of track film. No, come on. There's some work behind that stuff. And getting our kids to understand that is the role of a parent. We could dream all day long. We could do that all day long. But can we make sure that we have enough passion to keep doing what we said that we were going to do? Listen, Usain Bolt got a powerful, powerful quote. He said, dreams are free, but goals cost. And when he says goals, he's mentioning work. He's mentioning sacrifice. He's mentioning giving up stuff. He said, dreams are free, but goals cost. Are you willing to pay the cost to have your dreams come true? And man, that is so powerful, because, we think about things that we want, but then we don't go out and work for it. We just think it's just going to happen. And unfortunately, we're living in a generation where a lot of our kids think, I'm just going to play ball. Okay, well, you ain't going to just step out on the court and be Michael Jordan. Like, you going to have to put some work in. But they kind of feel like, if whatever I want to do, I can will myself to do it. Well, you got to will yourself to do some practice too. Like, it's a process. I mean, I love Kobe Bryant, man. I mean, I love what he used to always say. He says, he said, I love playing basketball. I really do. He said, but I love the process more. I love the process of playing basketball. And I love the process so much that actually playing basketball is easy, because the process is so hard. And when you talk to a lot of players that, I've seen a lot of interviews, and I've read a lot of stuff about a lot of the players that come out of the Alabama camp down there with Nick Saban. A lot of those guys say, hey, our practices are harder than the games. That's why it looks so easy when we play, because we practice hard. So the process is harder than the game. So the game is easy. So a lot of kids don't understand that. The more you deal with the process, it's easy to do what you love. I mean, because what you love, but it's the process that gets you there. So Usain Bolt, I mean, if y'all don't know his story, man, y'all need to check him out. Like, his story is incredible. Just listening to him talking and reading his book and his bio and the things about him, it's just incredible how he took this dream of being the fastest man in the world to the next level. Like, he did some crazy stuff to make sure that happened. And so as parents, when we hear our kids talk about things that they want and things they want to do, that's what we try to do. We try to instill that passion in them, to say, stick with this thing, so this passion that you have would never go away. And because that passion can move from thing to thing, it can, I promise you, it can move from thing to thing, but we just want to make sure you stick with it. Now, that quote and that thought that Usain Bolt has is an incredible thought. And so it kind of reminds me of Proverbs 29:18, where it says, where there is no vision, people cast off restraints. Yeah, that's basically what Usain Bolt just said. Because when we have a vision or we have something that we're passionate about, we have to stick to it. And if we stick to it and create these restraints or these things that keeps us in place, because that's what restraints are. It's a measurement or condition that keeps something or someone under control or within limits. So, when we have this passion, so let me say it like this. If I have a passion to be a basketball player, that's what I want. I want to be a basketball player. Okay. I got to have some restraints put in place to make sure that everything that I do sets me on that path to be that basketball player. So that means there's some things I have to set limits on. There's some things, I can't go around eating double bacon cheeseburgers all the time. I can't go around eating, death by chocolate cake. I can't go around, not practicing, not shooting. I cannot, not pass my classes and fail. I cannot go to these places. It's not going to. So I have to set limits to make sure that my passion stays straight for me being able to go play basketball. But that's just one example. I mean, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a lawyer, you got to make sure that you set these limits. If you want to be a good husband, if you want to be a good father, you got to set these limits of things that you can and you can't do. Now, I'm not going to say that sometimes we cross those restraints and we cross those things. I'm just saying that we're trying to stay consistent with those things, because those things keeps us in line with what we want. Now, listen, as parents, that's what we have to do. As parents, we try our best to teach our children the things that you have to do to stay in place, to stay within striking distance of that thing that you want. I'm not a runner. I mean, I don't run. I ain't even gonna trip about that. Like, I don't run unless I'm running, to get in the bed or something, or running to get the last piece of cake, in my house. Then I'm running for that. But I'm not a big runner, but I love watching track and field. I mean, I love watching. Well, I really love the track part. I really love watching it because I love the strategies that these runners use. And when you watch track and field, man, it is, especially when they're doing like the 1500 or the 800-meter races, when they're running for a long time, it's really cool the way you can watch them, because as they're running, they're always jockeying for position. They're always trying to get in the best place that they can be for that last two laps. So they're always, moving around, and somebody's trying to get to the front, somebody's trying to be second or trying to be third. They're trying to get in position because they know if they can stay within striking distance within those last two laps, they have an opportunity to win the race. So they're always putting themselves in position so that they can make sure they have at least a chance to win the race, because not only they're passionate about running, they're also passionate about winning, which we all are. So they're always jockeying to make sure they get themselves in position to win. As parents, that's what we're trying to do with our kids. We're just trying to say, hey, look, get yourself in position to win, because I mean, I don't like losing. Like, losing just really boils my skin. So I don't like to lose. I mean, I do lose, but I don't like to. But I love to always try to put myself in position. And I could even go so far as start to talk about marriage and family, how we need to position ourselves in our marriages to make sure we win, or position ourselves in our families to make sure we win. But as parents, we're always trying to teach our kids how to get in position. Even in NASCAR, like I don't even watch NASCAR, but I do love reading about it and how they, even with the cars, I mean, the way they're moving their cars back and forth and trying to, I think it's called a drift or a draft or something, like they trying to draft off the car in front of them so they can get that opportunity to catch that win and whip around the next car. So even in auto racing, they're trying to get themselves in the best position so that they can get around the car. And they have the passion to drive, because that's why they out there driving. I mean, that's their passion, but they want to win. So they try to put themselves in position to win. And so if that works in running, if that works in NASCAR, why can't that work in life? Like, why can't we put ourselves in the right position to try to win? If we can teach our kids to have restraints, then hopefully the passion for what they want to do will not leave them. And I think that's one of the hardest things is really teaching our kids, you know, the restraints in life, the things that you should and shouldn't do. I think that's really one of the hardest things that we could ever do. And so as adults, we have to put in some restraints too. We have to make sure that we stay in line, and we have to make sure that, our kids are seeing us, put limits on things, and make sure that they can see us giving up some things, and make sure that, first of all, we don't give up, or we don't give in to their immature ways, because they're still learning. Back to that 11th hour, they're still learning what's important, what's not important. And so a lot of times, they make decisions off of how they feel. I feel like this, or I feel like that. But sometimes you have to make the right decision because it's the right decision. And so, but we don't just give in because you may not want to do this and may not want to do that. I know you got a passion for something. So if I'm going to help you achieve that thing, man, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to help you achieve it. I'm really not trying to hurt you or anything, but that does come with some restraints, and that does come with keeping your head in the right place and doing the right thing. Okay. That's why I think the 4 P's are really important. I do. That's why I think the 4 P's are really important. People, places, possession, and position. Keeping the right people in your life, that's really important, because let's look at it like this. If you're hanging around the wrong people, of course, they're going to eventually take you to the wrong places. Then, of course, you're going to eventually be doing some wrong stuff, and then you're not going to be in the position that you want to be. So that's why I really think that's important. I mean, I really just think that it's important that we make the decision to be around the right people. Now, I'm not saying that, people have to be perfect. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, you just make sure that you're kind of dealing with people in your life who are at least going in the same direction that you want to go, and have some of the same passions, and want to do some of the same things. Because if you can't have the right people in your life, then, man, it's going to be hard to make sure you're always going and doing the right thing to put you in the position that you want to be in. So I think the 4 P's is really important, because I do it for me. I try to make sure that, I have the right people in my life. I can't hang out with everybody. I just can't. I'm not a superstar, and I'm not all that, like we used to say back in the day, I'm not all that in a bag of chips. That's not what I'm trying to say. But what I am saying is that there's some things that just not tolerable in my life anymore. And there's some directions that I'm trying to go. And so if I can demonstrate that with my kids, like, I really try to be choosy about who I'm with and who I'm hanging around. But I need you to do the same thing too. So if they could see me doing it, I would hope that it would rub off on them, and they would take the same path to make sure they would take the time to do that. Keep this thought in mind. If we can keep them with this thought in mind, then hopefully that would help them keep that for the process of where they go. I mean, and also having a passionate relationship with God, I also think would help them with that thought. Not just with young people, but with our adults too. And that if we can see that if we have a passionate relationship with God, then hopefully it will rub off on our kids. Today is this time is different, you know, uh, because I want my kids to think like this. The way you are today does not mean you're going to be that same way tomorrow. But if God is with you, he can ensure and help you create these restraints that's going to lead you and direct you to the passions that he not only that you have, but some of the passions that he has given you. And if God has given you some passions, he's also going to set up some restraints to make sure you get to those passions. And I'm telling you, sometimes that's the hardest thing to do, is to deal with the restraints, because those restraints, depending, they could be this is radio, so you really can't see. So the restraints can be either small or they could be wide, but the restraints are there to keep you in line. And sometimes God put those restraints in your life, and you're just having a hard time dealing with what you can do versus what you can't do. But here's the beauty of what God can do. And I'm gonna tell you, I love Romans 12:2. It says, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you would know what God's good and pleasing will is for your life. So if God is going to give you this passion to do what he wants you to do, then he also is going to set up these restraints to make sure that you can do them. But I believe a lot of times the problem that we battle with is the restraint. It's not what we want to do, because we have this passion of what we want. I want to be a good father and I want to be a good husband. But man, there are temptations out there that could stop me from being a good husband. There are some temptations out there that could stop me from being a good father. Now, the restraint is don't cross those lines. That's the hard part. Like, really, that's the hard part, because I'm passionate about being a good husband. I'm just having problems with these restraints. I mean, I want to be. I mean, I'm gonna talk like my kids. You know, some of my y'all heard my kids on the show, so you know I'm not telling y'all nothing that y'all like. I have my daughter and my sons. They want to play these sports, and they want to be the best that they can be. They have the passion to play the sports. They already have that. They have the passion. It's the restraints that they're having a hard time with sometimes. And it's the restraints of, okay, you got to put that TikTok down and go out there and bounce that ball. You got to put, the video game down and get out there and do some laps. You got to, those are the things, like, there's some things that you can and can't do. And I think that's where the struggle gets us. That's where it really gets us. But that's why Romans 12:2 says this: if God can change the way you think, then man, things will change in your life. So I think in the process of changing the way you think will help you in the process, first of all, of choosing the people who you need to be around, because now you can see things differently. Now you can see that, okay, I may not need to be hanging around them because they're not what I really need for where I'm trying to go. I have a passion for this. They have a passion for that. So we most definitely can't be on the same page. But I know and I believe God helps us in that. If we can just trust and hold on. Listen, I think at 6 years old to be a fireman is cool. I really do. But I think at 6-year-old, you're thinking, okay, it's going to take me a long time to be a fireman. So you start to let that go, and then you start thinking about other things. I mean, even kids, I talked to a lot of kids today, like, they have the dreams and passions of being doctors. Okay, doctor's going to take you a minute. Like, you ain't going to be a doctor overnight. Like, you have to do a lot of schooling. That's a long time. I mean, I don't know if I could do that. Yeah, sometimes your passion does take a while to develop. And sometimes it's hard to think that you're going to make it, but you're going to make it, because if God is giving you that passion, that means that's what he wants you to do, and he's going to allow you to do it. And you just need to hold on to make sure that happened. Hey, I don't know what kind of passions you have. I don't know what you've been thinking about, and I don't know what you're trying to hold on to. But I do know this, that man, if you go after with everything that you have and set up some restraints to make sure that it's in line with what you want, I promise you, man, it will come to pass. Look, as a husband, as a father, as a man, I want to instill godly patterns and restraints, not only in my own kids, but it also in other kids, because I know what this could do for you. So, I'm passionate about, making sure that I'm passing on this godly word to my kids. And if I can pass that on to other kids, then I'm pretty sure that there's some changes that could happen in their life, because what God does, it says, what the world does, that's what they do. And God said, let them do their thing. But what I do is over here, it's a totally different pattern. It's not the same. And so when we try to get people to understand what God is trying to do, it's really hard to understand, because it's not what the world wants. And then that in itself causes confusion, because young people, they want to be in their cliques, and they want to be in their groups, and they want to do what everybody else is doing. I mean, we all did it. I mean, we were all kids at one time or another, so these thoughts and concepts are not new. I mean, we've all dealt with it. I mean, I was 16 and 17 and tried to do some of the same things too. And my mom was trying to keep me in the church and trying to keep me clear of all that stuff. I mean, it's just a cycle that we go through. But if we continue to do it and continue to share God's word with our children, our prayers is that, they would never let that go. What does the scripture say? Train up a child in the way he should go, and once he grow old, he will not depart from it. I'm paraphrasing some of that, but we know how that is. But the passion is that you have to want to be a father. You have to want to be a good father. You have to have the passion and want to be a good husband. You have to have that passion to say, heck or high water, I'm going to be a good husband. You have to say, no matter what happens, I'm going to be a good father. I'm going to stick this thing out. And so That's why I'm here on this radio, y'all. That's why I'm here, because my prayers that not only can this help somebody. I'm always praying that somebody's listening and somebody's getting help. But hopefully we can help a whole lot of people. We can come together, join together. A passion. Another thing of mine, man, I would love to have like a little spot one day, man. We just do like a little thing where we just kind of have people come in, just stop by and just talk on the radio for a few minutes, talk about their families, talk about, their youth, and talk about their community. I mean, I would love to get out and do a little spot somewhere in the community, man, like post up somewhere, and we're just out there and people just stopping through and we just having conversations. We're just talking because, we all can encourage somebody into doing something really positive. So I'm just encouraged that I'm passionate about what I love. And I hope you're passionate about what you love. And I hope you go after that thing 100. And then you set up some restraints in your life to make sure that you get there. And if you are a parent, man, make sure you instill those restraints into your kids. I know it's going to be hard. I know it's going to be tough because they're going to fight you back. Now, I'm telling you right now, they're going to fight you back. Because we fight back too. Like as adults, we fight back on some things too. But stay in the game. Don't let them get you now. Stay in the game and make sure you instill that into them. Hey y'all, this is your boy Pastor Mike, aka 90s number 5. Hey, this is about all I got. Hey, make sure y'all hit us up, on our Facebook page. Make sure y'all hit us up on the web, the Nicholas Foundation, Burrow. .org, or you can check me out, the Michael Davis on Facebook. Hey, hit me up if you have some questions, comments, please. I'm looking for some comments. Come on, y'all hit a brother up, 615-295-8785. Hit me up. Tell me what you think about the conversations that we have. If you like the podcast, man, share it and subscribe, man. Get people listening, man. Let's make this thing go bananas, and so let's like this thing and share. All right, remember my thing, man. Go make movements, not just moments. This your boy, Pastor Mike, and I'm out. Peace.